Assalamu alaikum. First of all, thank you so much for making time for this event. So we start the session by officially introducing ourselves. My name is Qassim Shamim. I am in the education space for the past 7-8 years and with Everu Immigration Services for more than a year. Alhamdulillah. In the past year, we have helped Pakistani students with study visas. We have helped individuals with PR cases. We have some good success stories that we'll talk about in the after networking session. And now the most important thing that we are excited about is the Canadian investment visas. So today we'll talk about primarily what Canadian investment visas are, what the process is, how it can benefit potential companies in Pakistan and all those things. So that's about me. With me is Mujtaba Sarwar, the founder of Aveiro Immigration Services. So Mujtaba, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yes. First of all, I am not the founder of Aveiro Immigration Services. I work with the firm, and the firm is based in Canada. मैं खुद पाकिस्तानी हूँ, but I'm a Pakistani Canadian. The firm is based in Canada, based out of Toronto. We work on all kinds of Canadian visa products, students, skilled professional, permanent residency, and then business investments. So I wanted to do this event because मुझे पता है कि पाकिस्तान के अंदर माशाल्लाह software houses, tech companies, software houses, they're doing really well. And the reason behind that is that the US or Canada के अंदर software services काफी ज़्यादा outsource हो रही है because it's just equally as good quality of work, but for the fraction of the cost. Now the problem is most of this money that they're spending is going to service providers in India. ठीक है? तो अब पाकिस्तान के अंदर भी वही टैलेंट है, मगर उधर जो क्लाइंट्स बैठे हैं वो पाकिस्तानी फर्म्स को चांस नहीं दे रहे. उसकी बहुत सी रीजंस हैं. एक, हमारे पाकिस्तानियों को उधर जाना बहुत मुश्किल है, वीज़ा अप्रूवल रेट्स बहुत कम हैं, और एक और रीज़न ये है कि उनको अवेयरनेस नहीं है कि हमारे पास यहाँ पे भी अच्छे सॉफ्टवेयर हाउसेस हैं जो हर किस्म के प्रोडक्ट्स को सर्विस कर सकते हैं. सो इस को करना, इस प्रॉब्लम के सोल्यूशन जो है ना, मेरे ख्याल में इमिग्रेशन के थ्रू हो सकता है. And that is what we want to talk about today. Okay, I believe कि अगर यहाँ पे जो CEOs और owners हैं successful businesses, अगर उनके पास physical presence हो कनाडा के अंदर, तो वो फिर हासिल कर सकते हैं, वो मीटिंग्स अरेंज कर सकते हैं, मार्केटिंग कर सकते हैं, वो अपनी सर्विसेज को प्रमोट कर सकते हैं, और वहाँ पे जो क्लाइंट्स बैठ के इन सर्विसेज पे इतना ज़्यादा पैसा खर्च कर रहे हैं, they are more likely to give you guys a chance. ठीक है? Now, for example, कितना पैसा खर्च कर रहे हैं? 2019 और 2020 में, 2021 में कनाडा ने Canadian businesses ने $240 billion spend किए थे information communication technology services के ऊपर. ठीक है? 2023 में वो नंबर 270 billion पे increase हुआ. It means हर साल $10 billion spending increase हो रही है इन services में जो यहाँ पे software houses कर रहे हैं. Building native systems for businesses, building apps, providing back-end support, all kinds of things businesses are spending on this. So much so कि 2019 और 20 के बीच में जब COVID आया था, तो कनाडा की जो इकोनॉमी है उसने 2.4% contraction experience की थी. Over the same period of time, businesses that were otherwise, reducing their budgets, they increased their spending on these services by 5.4%. उसका मतलब ये है कि एक तो साल बाद साल businesses in services पे पैसे और लगा रहे हैं. They, every year $10 billion increase. And then even when the economy is experiencing some contraction, where the budgets for these companies are getting tight, they are not skimping on spending on information communication technology services. So that presents an opportunity. Ultimately, आपने देखना है कि पैसा कहाँ लग रहा है, कहाँ खर्च हो रहा है, और ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा खर्च हो रहा है यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स और कनाडा के. तो मेरे ख्याल में एक अपॉर्चुनिटी है कि हमारे जो यहाँ पे कंपनीज हैं जो एक सर्टेन लेवल पे काम कर रही हैं, एक सर्टेन सक्सेस एंजॉय कर रही हैं, they should think about how can we expand our businesses, our reach in Canada, and by extension, United States, because once you're in Canada, you have access to the US market.
Right.
And so we're here to really discuss how that could be practically possible.
Great. Mujtaba, you explained well that how big the market opportunity is. But a very important question here is, do you have a specific game plan for Pakistani software houses to benefit from this opportunity?
Yes. So it starts by registering your company, a subsidiary, affiliate, or a branch in Canada. ठीक है? Canada के अंदर कोई ऐसा law नहीं है जो कहता है कि सिर्फ permanent residents or citizens ही companies register कर सकते हैं. Anybody sitting in Pakistan, with some professional help, can register their company in Canada, provincial level or federal level. ठीक है? It's a piece of paper, it's a registration. तो idea ये है कि Pakistani companies यहाँ पे that are doing well, they can register themselves a legal entity, legal business entity in Canada. And then that company, okay, can sponsor them for a work permit. अब limitation ये है कि जो ओनर होता है कंपनी का, जो हाई लेवल एग्जीक्यूटिव होता है, उसी को ही वीजा मिल सकता है, राइट? बिकॉज एक्सपेंशन जो है वो उसकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है, उसका प्लान है, उसकी इन्वेस्टमेंट है. सो जो वो कंपनी रजिस्टर करता है, वो कंपनी कहती है कि भाई मैं अपने ओनर को स्पॉन्सर करना चाहता हूँ ताकि वो आए और मुझे चलाए. सो इसको कहते हैं इंटर कंपनी ट्रांसफर वीजा, और डिपेंडिंग ऑन द बिजनेस प्लान, दिस इज पॉसिबल. अब इसमें कोई ये भी लिमिटेशन नहीं है किस किस्म का बिजनेस होना चाहिए. अगर आपके यहाँ पे वो बट कढ़ाई बहुत मशहूर है, वो अगर पाकिस्तान कनाडा में अपनी ब्रांच खोलना चाहते हैं, जो मेरे ख्याल में उन्होंने खोली भी है, या वो वहाँ पे अपनी बट कढ़ाई LLC रजिस्टर कर लें, और वो जो है रेस्टोरेंट है, वो फिर कह सकता है कि जो फाउंडर है इस रेस्टोरेंट का, वो आए और मुझे चलाए, राइट? Similarly, you name it. We were discussing earlier, somebody here owns a jewelry business. If it is a unique, product that the owner of the jewelry business feels that there's a scope for it, a market for it in Canada, they can open an LLC or any kind of business entity, a branch, affiliate, subsidiary, and come up with a business plan कि भाई मैं अपने प्रोडक्ट को कैनेडियन मार्केट के अंदर कैसे सेल कर सकता हूँ. सो मेरा जो आइडिया है वो है यहाँ पे सॉफ्टवेयर कंपनीज के लिए पाकिस्तान, बिकॉज मेरे ख्याल में पाकिस्तान में 3 ही चीजें हैं जो चलती हैं. एक रेस्टोरेंट्स चलते हैं, एक सैलून्स चलते हैं, और एक ये क्या कहते हैं सॉफ्टवेयर हाउसेस. मेरे ख्याल में they're doing really well in पाकिस्तान. अब आइडिया ये है कि आपकी जितनी भी कोडिंग की टीम है वो बेशक बैठे रहे पाकिस्तान में, आपके जितने भी हैं इंजीनियर्स, डेवलपर्स, वो पाकिस्तान में बैठे हैं. अब ज्यादातर इस वक्त जो मैंने लोगों से बात करके जो मुझे पता चला है वो ये है कि most of the business that software houses based in Pakistan are getting are Pakistani clients. Maximum अगर उनकी reach होगी तो Middle East में होगी, UAE or Saudi Arabia. Maybe some people might be getting clients from the UK. Very few have been able to penetrate the Canadian and by extension the US market. How can we solve that problem? In my view, the parent company, the software house, can keep their back-end office here. क्योंकि अगर वो अपने कोडर्स उठा के शिफ्ट करेंगे कनाडा में तो उनकी कॉस्ट इतनी ज्यादा हाई हो जाएगी. कंपेटिटिव एडवांटेज ही यही है कि टैलेंट यहाँ पे लो कॉस्ट के अंदर आप एग्जीक्यूट कर सकते हैं सर्विसेज, and then जो price आप quote करेंगे Canadian clients को is so competitive because you don't have a huge cost compared to coders and engineers in the United States. So what do? You go to Canada, you set up a branch as we discussed, और फिर वहाँ पे आप बिल्कुल lean bare bones office खोलें. जिसमें business development manager हो या marketing guy हो या sales person हो, front end office जिसे कहते हैं, उसका काम हो कि वो बस जाए, हसल करे, जो है ना clients ढूंढे, MOUs sign करे, contract sign करे, काम ले और फिर वो काम manage करे with the help of their back end operations back in Pakistan. अब फायदा पाकिस्तानी टीम को क्या है? अब पाकिस्तान में जो सॉफ्टवेयर हाउसेस बैठे हैं, they have a diversity of clients to sustain their operations, to make their money. They're not dependent on Pakistani clients, which, by the way, I hear, because of the economy, it's not always clear कि उनको payment on time मिलेगी कि नहीं, budgets यहाँ पे reduce हो रहे हैं, right? So if you have a solid pipeline of business coming from Canada and the US, well, now you can do really well in at home and not be sort of, you have आपकी आप इतने risk पे नहीं है कि आपकी जो basket है clients की वो expand होगी, diversity. And then you cannot even compare कि भाई वहाँ पे जो लोग spend कर रहे हैं पैसा इन चीजों पे compared to Pakistan. Like I mentioned, $270 billion in 1 year they spent on just these services. So this is the opportunity that I feel like people should know about. We want to play a part in spreading awareness about this program, and so the intercompany transfer visa, parent company in Pakistan, front end office in Canada, they are just doing marketing, business development, sales, and all the work is being done back home.
Oh, that sounds exciting, but I'm sure it's not that simple, right? So thank you for identifying intra-company transfer, but Mujtaba, talk us in detail about the process, if there is an eligibility criteria. A lot of Pakistanis are even afraid of the processing time for reasons you would know. So yeah.
Yeah. So okay, first of all, the first thing that I would advise anybody who kind of listens to this and says, this sounds great to me. The first thing I would be like, okay, what is your motivation to think about this visa seriously? Okay. I believe, Qassim, this works for people who actually want to do this for business reasons. Right? कि वो वाकई ही समझते हैं कि हम कनाडा में जाके अपने बिजनेस आइडिया के बेसिस पे revenues generate कर सकते हैं, expansion कर सकते हैं, we can do good business in Canada. Okay, so that's number one. What's your motivation? The second thing is obviously you have to register a company, so that's the first step. आपको legal entity बनानी होगी, ठीक है? आपको business license के लिए apply करना होगा. आपको अपनी जो है legal entity उसको Canadian Revenue Agency जो I don't know Pakistan में इसका equivalent क्या है? FBI.
Board of Revenue. Company registration and
Right. So you have to register a company with the CRA, which is the Canadian Revenue Agency. You have to sort of even before you think about having your company sponsor you for a visa, you need to do everything necessary to set up the business entity in Canada. Again, incorporation, registration with the business licenses, registration with the CRA. ये पहला स्टेप है, ठीक है? आपकी स्ट्रक्चर बन गया आपका कनाडा के अंदर. ये आप पाकिस्तान में बैठ के आप कर सकते हो, नो प्रॉब्लम, ठीक है? अच्छा, उसके बाद फिर ये है कि अगर आप या तो उसको आप चलो ठीक है बन गई है, अब आप उसको देख लें, कुछ कर नहीं रही है, ये हो सकता है, right? As long as you pay your renewal fees, you can have a business on paper indefinitely, ठीक है? क्या उसमें बस कुछ हो ही नहीं रहा, वो वैसे खाली पड़ी हुई. मगर अगर आप उसको जाके उस पे बिजनेस करना चाहते हैं, what's the next step? You need to do your market research. Is your business idea viable in Canada? Then you need to come up with a business plan. Business plan के अंदर आपकी जो business offering है वो होगी, illustrate होगी, आपके hiring plans उसमें होंगे और आपके 3 से 5 साल के revenue projections उसके अंदर होंगे. ये चीजें, ठीक है? Once you have completed all of this upfront work, now you are ready to submit your work permit application via the Canadian company. By the way, one thing I forgot to mention, a big thing is, जो parent company है, क्योंकि देखें, एक qualifying relationship होगी तो ये बात बनेगी, meaning के parent company के बगैर जो subsidiary company है, वो नहीं sponsor कर सकते. So आपका जो कनाडा के अंदर business है, it needs to remain operational and active. The company that you register in Canada has to be an extension of your Pakistani business. Okay, so what that means is कि जो Pakistani business है, उसके कुछ minimum criteria. Okay, first of all, it needs to earn enough money so that it can make the argument to the immigration people in Canada कि भाई मैं ये expansion finance कर सकता हूँ और sustain कर सकता हूँ. ठीक है, आप अपने business plan के अंदर जितनी मर्जी projections बनाते रहें कि भाई मैं ये कर लूँगा वो कर लूँगा, you know, वो Canadian government कहे कि ठीक है, हम I hope you succeed, but we don't believe you. We need insurance. What that means is you need to show that you have enough money to sustain at least minimum the first year of operations. What does that mean? आपके operating expenses होंगे, अगर आपने physical office किया उसका rent होगा, utilities के bills होंगे, आपके एक जो है ना होगी, आपके पास hiring plan होना चाहिए. So one of the requirements of the program is you need to the business expansion. आपके business plan में ये argument आपको करनी पड़ेगी कि my business will create jobs for Canadians. Okay, that's a big requirement of the program. So if you are going to hire Canadians, can you pay their salaries? Right? ये सब depend करता है कि आपकी पाकिस्तानी जो business है उसकी कितनी strength है, वो Canadian venture को sustain कर सकता है कि नहीं, at least for 1 year. If these things more or less are kind of, you know, within the universe of possibilities, then I would say that this is a very strong, attractive option for people who are interested in not just, you know, expanding their business, taking their business to the next level, but also people who might want to go to Canada and you know, work and experience life there, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. So building on that, can you talk a little more about who gets the visa and talk about the visa part? So let's say you talked in detail that you need to set up a company that requires business plan and, you know, being registered with their revenue authorities and everything.
Achha.
So who goes there and can they? Yeah.
So 3 categories हैं लोग जो eligible हैं subsidiary जिनको sponsor कर सकते हैं. एक तो जो executive है, जो owner है, जो major business decision maker है, उसको जो है branch Canadian branch sponsor कर सकती है. दूसरा है अगर suppose करें बहुत बड़ी company है, right, और executive is not interested in moving to Canada, but उसका primary focus ये कि मैं Canada के अंदर expand करूं, तो वो अपने high level manager को भी जो है ना sponsor कर सकता है. But it's a little bit more difficult for that visa to be approved. The easiest will be for the executive, जो owner है. And then finally, अगर आपके business के अंदर owner भी नहीं है, manager भी नहीं है, अगर कोई ऐसा है जिसके पास specialized skill है. So for example, we were talking about the jewelry store. You know, suppose there is somebody who has a very particular skill on how to make, I don't know anything about making jewelry, but right. So those people, you know, could potentially be sponsored under the parent company. Like I said, it's a super specialized skill. It's necessary to the business. Nobody else can do it. I need this person to come. Typically, ये होता है कि वो बंदा आता है Canadian staff को train करने के लिए, right? That kind of thing. Right. So these are the people that can be sponsored under the visa. But जो मेरा particular जो idea है, जिसमें मैं that, you know, where I feel, in my opinion, that makes business sense for these software houses. You know, since they're making good money here, they should be sending their CEOs, and the CEOs or the ownership group should go there and, you know, generate business. They can, and some of the benefits of this visa. इस वीजा के साथ अगर आपको मिल गया, पहले आपको वीजा मिलेगा 1 साल के लिए. इसको कहते हैं स्टार्टअप फेज वीजा. 1 साल में क्योंकि जो IRCC स्पेशली अगर नया बिजनेस है वो देखना चाहती है कि आप 1 साल के अंदर क्या अकॉम्प्लिश कर सकोगे, तो आपको 1 साल के लिए मिलेगा। फिर जो रिन्यूअल है, अगर आपने अपने बिजनेस प्लान को किसी सर्टेन स्टेज तक एग्जीक्यूट कर लिया है, तो फिर आपको डिपेंडिंग ऑन योर प्रोग्रेस या 1 और साल का दे देंगे या 5 साल का दे देंगे, अप टू 7 years का भी आपको वर्क परमिट रिन्यूअल मिल सकता है। The benefits of a work permit renewal is this: you can bring your family with you, your spouse and dependents can come. The dependents will have access to free high school education. Okay. The spouse will get an open work permit, meaning कि spouse किसी भी Canadian business या employer के साथ काम कर सकता है या सकती है. And then you have access to Canada's free healthcare system as well. Right. So typically, ये Canadian healthcare system का access सिर्फ permanent residents or citizens को मिलता है. But under this work permit, those people can get free healthcare as well. Right. This work permit also gives you access to the United States. So if you want to visit the US and apply for a visitor visa to the US, having this visa improves the chances of getting, a visitor visa to the United States as well. And then इस work permit के through एक permanent residency का भी pathway आ सकता है. In certain cases, it might not be possible for everybody, but in certain cases. So these are some of the benefits of the visa, and किस किस्म के लोगों को मिल सकता है और किस किस्म के businesses हैं जो qualify कर सकते हैं.
That's really nice. So that's nice. And now, if we talk about, you have already explained in detail what are the benefits, and that also leads to PR. There's a possibility, but you did mention that should not be the main objective, obviously, because the first step would be to set up your company.
Yes, Qassim. It's because देखें, अगर आपके पास real business plan नहीं है ना, और real क्या कहते हैं like motivation नहीं है इस business को चलाने के लिए, तो शायद आपको 1 साल का वर्क परमिट मिल जाएगा, मगर उसके बाद रिन्यू नहीं होगा. राइट. तो इसके लिए जरूरी है कि आप जो है ना एक आई नो बहुत सी लोग होते हैं जिनका मेन मकसद ये होता है मैं किसी तरीके से कनाडा पहुंचा, राइट, या मेरा किसी तरीके से PR लग जाए, जो हो जाए. तो इस स्पेसिफिक वीजा की हम बात कर रहे हैं, ये उन लोगों के लिए है जिन्होंने एक बिजनेस अपॉर्चुनिटी आइडेंटिफाई की है, वो कॉन्फिडेंट है कि वो कनाडा के अंदर पैसे बना सकते हैं और मोटिवेटेड है अपने बिजनेस को एक्सपैंड करने, क्योंकि वो उस हिसाब से एक रियलिस्टिक बिजनेस प्लान बनाएंगे, रियलिस्टिक इन्वेस्टमेंट्स अपने सिक्योर करेंगे, और वहां पे जब जाएंगे तो अपने बिजनेस को चलाने के लिए मेहनत करेंगे, हसल करेंगे. और अगर ये मोटिवेशन है तो फिर ये it is a really fantastic opportunity, not just to as I said, make more money for your business, but also be very successful in Canada. So yeah.
No, makes sense. So I'll be moving towards my last question before we take questions from the audience, and then we also have networking event after our talk, so that we can know more about you and you can ask us specific questions. So for people and businesses who are eligible for this pathway, intra-company transfer, they're excited to expand their business and everything, from where should they start, and at what stage should they contact Q Immigration Service?
Okay, so हमारी जो firm है, ठीक है, आपको business incorporation से लेके work permit renewal, and maybe even permanent residency तक, we can help you end to end, right? So some firms may just do the business incorporation, other firms may just do a business plan component, and then somebody might just come in to do one aspect of the immigration. If you work with us, like, we have a really a strong ecosystem of partners that will so you won't have to go and shop around for different service providers for different things. You come to us, and end to end, we will help you throughout the whole process. Well, I guess the first step would be to book a consultation, and to see whether I would have to assess the viability, the strength of the business that they own. And then I would have to have a conversation about their motivation. what is their, what do they want to accomplish in Canada.
Right.
And then, जो है ना फिर हम किसी mutual understanding पे अगर आ जाते कि भाई ये हो सकता है,
Right.
then yes, I would be very, I would be the biggest champion.
Right.
कि भाई आप ये करो, ये आपके लिए हो सकता है. If I feel कि भाई नहीं है, it doesn't make sense, I would not, pretend that I can help you if I can't. I would say it's not possible. Or I would say you need to do A, B, C, D in the next few years to get to where you need to get to in order to avail. फिर हम चंद साल बाद मुलाकात दोबारा कर सकते हैं. But so that would be the first step.
Amazing. So the process is very simple. They need to book a consultation, and after some vetting, you can design a personalized approach as to how they should take it forward if they are obviously eligible.
By the way, ये जो है ICT वीजा जो है इंटर कंपनी ट्रांसफर वीजा, मैं इसके बारे में इस इवेंट को मैंने इस टॉपिक पे सेलेक्ट किया था बिकॉज मैंने इनवाइट भी कोशिश की थी कि जो सॉफ्टवेयर हाउसेस के सीईओज वगैरह हैं, चाहे वो छोटी स्टेज पे हो या बड़ी स्टेज पे हो, वो आए. क्योंकि मेरे ख्याल में ये जो मॉडल है ना कि आपका बैक एंड ऑफिस पाकिस्तान में और फ्रंट एंड कनाडा में हो, इट कैन वर्क. हर बिजनेस का अपना मॉडल होता है. I believe this can work. Okay, I have seen this work for big software houses in India. I've seen, all of the business. I know some businesses right now, in maybe construction, maybe sales, distribution and stuff. उनको जो है ना maybe अगर अपना in-house एक system बनाना है, वो कनाडा और अमेरिका में नहीं ढूंढ रहे solutions providers. They're looking at India. I want to hire somebody in India because it's going to cost them a fraction of the price. So why not Pakistan? ठीक है. तो कहने का मकसद ये कि this is not the only investment visa available for foreign entrepreneurs. There is something called a startup visa. There's something called a owner entrepreneur visa. You can actually buy an existing business in Canada and immigrate to Canada based on that investment. So there are many different options for different types of people with different motivations and different budgets. But I wanted to talk about the ICT for software company owners here because I feel like it is probably the most cost-effective, makes sense. I feel like people would see a quick turnaround if they have the belief in themselves and the confidence to do it. Yeah.
No, thank you so much. So this was really nice. Now we'll open the floor for questions. उसमें हम तरीका ये करेंगे कि just raise your hand. I'll pick you. अपना नाम बताएं, a little bit about your company, business, and then any questions that you have.
Qassim, if you don't mind, I have an idea.
Sure.
Why don't we get Abdullah to grab that mic?
Okay.
Or if anybody has a question, Abdullah, you can pass the mic to them, and then I'll answer the question. So come on. अगर किसी के पास कोई क्वेश्चन है, अच्छा किसी भी टॉपिक पे हो सकता है, raise your hand. I think, yeah, go ahead.
This is 𝐍𝐸𝐸, have an e-commerce store, beauty store. I'm mostly जब मैंने आपका देखा था, so I was actually interested in establishing an e-commerce business in either Canada or US. US के बारे में I have the knowledge, LLC, etc. यहाँ पे देखा तो because after opening an e-commerce business, all the eligibilities and everything, I have to get myself enrolled with my business, enrolled with Amazon and everything. So, जितना मुझे पता है, it is like for establishing an e-commerce store, you need to have your traditional business licenses for Canada. So, आप इसके बारे में थोड़ा.
जी, हर industry का अपना business license होगा, and that is a conversation that we would have once we get into the particulars of your business. I think आपका जो challenge होगा वो ये होगा कि you are going to have to make an argument like why does an e-commerce business need to have a physical presence in Canada or the US, right? So because it's an e-commerce business, right? You can ship from anywhere. So that would be your challenge, right? If you didn't have an e-commerce business, maybe you had a storefront here in Pakistan where you were selling jewelry to foot traffic customers coming in. and then you felt like your jewelry brand had a market, especially Canada ke andar bahut Pakistani hai. If somehow you can show that, hey, my jewelry brand in Pakistan has a huge following. So for example, like Canada ke andar 𝐁𝐮𝐬𝐢𝐳𝐵 ke stores hain, right? Ye I guarantee you ye ICT ke through hi aaye, right? But e-commerce, as they are going to scrutinize your business plan, right? So if I was a visa officer, the first thing I would be like, okay, why do you need to have a physical presence in Canada? आप तो अपना e-commerce business यहाँ बैठ के भी कर सकते हैं. Excuse me.
I mean, it is like for registering my e-commerce business, this is their rules. First, get a business license, and after getting a business license, I can get an e-commerce license, etc. I mean, I don't need.
Oh, acha.
I mean, I don't want to register myself for a physical space, but that is the requirement for both US and Canada. That's what.
I'm sure there is. I mean, this is not an immigration-related question, I think, right? अगर आपको Amazon पे register करना है अपने e-commerce पर, basically, I think what you're saying is you have an e-commerce business, you want it on Amazon, but you cannot have it because
they need to. I want to sell my stuff there in Canada.
Right.
Establishing that on Amazon requires legit documents from which I register myself as a business entity in US, LLC, or Canada.
So agar aap if that's what you want to do, I can help you incorporate a business in Canada. But I don't think that it would potentially lead to some kind of immigration.
Right.
That's what I'm looking for at the moment. At the moment, I'm looking for this.
ठीक है, आप हमसे बात करें. I can help you with that. Yeah. We can do that. If that's what you need to start to sell your stuff on Amazon and eBay or whatever, we can have a conversation, and for sure we can help you set up a corporation in Canada. Yeah.
My name is 𝐍𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻. My name is 𝐍𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻. I'm from Pay Limited. This is a fintech company, and we are running in the United Kingdom and Dubai.
Okay.
And we have a branch in Pakistan as well.
Okay.
My question is, there are startup visas as well for Canada.
Yes.
So how the visa you are talking about, how is it different than the startup visas?
Yeah. So
that are available for.
Very good question. So अभी जैसा मैंने end पे कहा था कि business visas जो हैं Canada में, it's not just the ICT. There's a bunch of, and one of them is what this gentleman here mentioned. It's the startup visa. The startup visa is basically अगर इसकी high level पे जो मैं motivation है इस visa की, वो ये कि Canada चाहता है कि जो next unicorn है ना, ठीक है, वो Canada में आए, ठीक है. तो वो जितने भी इंटरनेशनल टैलेंट है उनको वो चाहते हैं कि उनके जो आइडियाज हैं, the next generation idea, they want to attract those people to come to Canada and have a home for their startup in Canada. तो ये जो आप स्टार्टअप वीजा की बात कर रहे हैं, इसमें डिफरेंस में आप पूछे थे क्या है? ICT के लिए you have to have an existing business. And it doesn't have to be a quote unquote startup business, right? It doesn't have to be an innovative business idea or something like an Uber or, et cetera. ICT ke liye, any business can register a subsidiary and expand this. So this is you have an existing business and you're expanding your market to Canada. Yeah, ICT ka. Startup visa jo hai na, wo ye hai ki aapke paas ek unique innovative idea hai. ठीक है, जो आप समझते हो कि ये एक बड़ी चीज बन सकती है फ्यूचर में, राइट? आपको उस आइडिया को वैलिडेट करवाना होता है कैनेडियन इनक्यूबेटर्स के साथ. ये पूरा प्रोसेस होता है, 3-4 महीने लगते हैं. And honestly, you don't even need a minimum viable product at that stage. It can just be an idea. So you have a unique idea. You pitch your idea to these incubators. They will, coach you, train you, build up your idea, have a business stack, IP, etc. They will get you market ready. ठीक है, जब वो सेटिस्फाई हो जाता है इंक्यूबेटर प्रोग्राम कि भाई आपका जो यूनिक आइडिया था, it's ready to go to market, right? Then they will give you a letter of support. That letter of support allows you to submit a work permit and a permanent residency application at the same time.
So if we registered as a startup in Pakistan, so we had a company in Dubai and UK, then we came to Pakistan as a startup in fintech industry. And now using that company in Pakistan, we will say that our startup has been done. I mean, we have already done things here. We have registered a company.
It would depend, right? तो जो startup program की जो eligible offering जो होती है ना, right? What kind of startup qualifies? It's a very limited criteria for that. Okay, so it needs to be a unique idea, something new, right?
This is a unique idea. The fintech company which we are running, it is a unique idea which is not available in Pakistan.
Well, it's
So
not
the same
available in
thing-
Pakistan, but
Even in Canada, they don't have companies who are actually doing fintech business through Pakistan. You know,
okay.
and payment solutions they're not giving to Pakistan.
So there needs to be a component of innovation in your offer that is completely unique and new for the startup program. ठीक है? So मैं ये नहीं कह रहा कि आपके
No, but
business
you use the same one for the visa you are talking about.
for the startup visa.
No, we're not going to use it for startup one. We're going to use it for the visa you are offering.
Sure, yeah, why not? Yeah, but it would have to depend on the basically, is your business generating enough revenue to sustain the first year of operations in Canada? If yes, then we can have a conversation. Sure.
No, but we were using angel investors to basically invest in the business in Pakistan.
Well, I mean, either you have you're generating the revenue or you have access to it, whatever the case may be, right? अगर आपको seed money मिल रही है या आप वो money खुद अपनी sales के साथ generate कर रहे हैं, point ये है कि आपकी जो यहाँ पे entity है, जो business entity है, उसके पास इतनी runway है कि वो पहले साल के अंदर operations और salary sustain कर सके. अगर है, तो फिर for sure this visa is something that we can talk about seriously.
And will it be better to use the company we have in United Kingdom or UK or UAE than using the one in Pakistan?
So it can be, as long as it's a foreign company, right? It doesn't matter where it's from. ठीक है, तो this is an intercompany transfer visa. अगर उस कंपनी की subsidiary या affiliate कनाडा के अंदर registered नहीं है, ठीक है, तो आप खुद decide कर सकते हैं कि parent company कौन सी है. बाकी affiliates declare कर सकते हैं. What's that?
They will treat all the companies, any company which is in the Middle East.
100%. Yeah.
Pakistan.
Well, actually, that's a good question. It could, depending on where the parent company is, your processing time could be impacted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like it's faster if you do it, if you use the parent company in Middle East.
Potentially, yes. So Pakistan की processing time versus Europe or Middle East की processing time में फर्क है.
Does the nationality also affects
No,
the nationality of the directors in the company?
It's a very subjective question. It shouldn't, but at the end of the day, there's a human being on the other side, right? But I think that if you work with a professional who knows what they're doing, if what is in front of the visa officer is done skillfully and professionally, then you know वो हो सकता है पाकिस्तानी से भी impressed हो जाए, right? So I wouldn't focus on whether you're a Pakistani or not. I think it's about time that we present ourselves with a little bit more confidence.
Proposal we are submitting.
They will look at the proposal. They will look at the finances of the parent company, right? You will not be. They will not judge the individual. The only requirement of the individual is कि भाई आपकी leadership level क्या है इस company का, ठीक है? Secondly, वो ये देखेंगे कि आपकी company जो है 3 साल से चल रही है या नहीं, ये एक requirement है. दूसरा, आपका जो leadership role है इस company में, वो 12 महीने से ज़्यादा है क्या? That's it. Okay. Then we we may improve your application by saying, इन्होंने ये इनकी education है, इन projects पे इन्होंने काम किया हुआ है. These are the things that, if you have a patent or IP under your name, you can say those things. ये extra चीजें हैं जो हम एक application में डाल के उसको और ज़्यादा strong कर सकते. But in terms of the bare minimum that's required, no, they're looking at the company. They're looking at the business plan, the market research, and the company finances. That's it.
It has to be the financial balance statements or audit reports have to be certified from an auditor.
Yes, you need to make sure that जो भी business parent company होगी needs to be properly documented, registered with the right authorities. It's paying taxes. It has, payroll data. It has organizational charts.
That is internal. I'm talking about, do we need an external audit as well from an auditor?
It would help. It would help. It's not required, but if I were you, yeah, I would do it. I mean, anything you can do to enhance the credibility of your documents, I would do that. Why not? If there isn't anything critically problematic about getting a third-party auditor, just get it done. Or अगर audit अच्छा नहीं निकलता तो ना use करें.
That audit has to be done for all years as well. From 20.
No, so they're just looking at the last 3 years of business activity. They don't need to go back any further. By the way, look, if these are very technical questions that we can talk in a one-on-one conversation afterwards, मैं अभी आके पूरी consultation, Q&A में नहीं करूँगा. But more or less, it's the business को देखेंगे, business plan को देखेंगे, और आपके market research को देखेंगे, ठीक है? ये तीन चीजें, and then yes, they will look at the CEO as well, but the primary focus is on the business, the parent company, and the expansion plan. Those are the things they're looking at. Yes.
You're talking about a different perspective, like how you will see someone's eligibility and everything. But my question here is that I have to make a decision, right? That either I should move to Canada or not and take my business there or not.
Yes.
So my question is that I belong to the financial field, so I just need the numbers so that I can derive the cost benefit analysis and then the return on investment, that how much I'm going to invest.
Yes.
And then how much I'm going to generate from it.
Yes.
Because my purpose is not just to get the nationality. You are shifting my business there.
Good.
Point is,
and that's how it should be.
Either I get profit or not.
100%. Yeah.
Yes, market, I can study the market, I can study the outcomes and everything. But on the other hand, I really need to know the cost so that I can use the numbers and generate my own analysis, make my own feasibility, and then I can think about investing. The first step you mentioned, how much it's going to cost by registering company at different levels, and how much it's going to cost for the 1 year for operations of my business, because those are the important numbers that I must be looking at before investing.
Yeah, 100%, of course. So again, ये पूरा process जो है ना इस certain stages पे जाता है, right? We're not applying for a work permit before we understand if it's even worth doing, right? So इसीलिए जो पहली stage ये आती है कि आप जो है ना अपना business plan, market research करें, business plan बनाएं, ठीक है? अगर आपको उस exercise के basis पे लगता है कि okay, this is something that I can work with, then register a company, right? Or so I think the way it works with us is, मैं यहाँ पे आके मैंने open-ended नहीं रखा, मैंने एक specific opportunity जो है ना identify की, एक specific business model identify की. Again, what is that model? What did I talk about? Software houses here, right? They should open front-end offices in Canada and generate a client base for their company back home. It's a specific market. It's a specific organizational structure. And I've thrown out some numbers like the $200-something billion to show that the money is being spent. Now, this is a broad sort of opportunity that I've identified. This is why मैंने यहाँ पे एक specific लोगों को invite करने की कोशिश की. Now, I could have invited any and all business, types of business owners. But I've identified a very specific, market, etc., etc. So of course, इस idea को further validate करना होगा. Of course, हमें market research करनी होगी. You know, और business plan बनाना होगा. ये numbers वगैरह हमें crunch करने होंगे. Operating a good business plan, it should cover all of that. It should get into details in terms of your fixed cost, your variable cost, right? All of that research goes into one document. And this document, yes, it's required for the visa, but it will also help you make a decision of whether you want to go for it or not. So yes, we offer business plan services, we offer incorporation services, we offer market research services, and then we will do, as this gentleman mentioned, a financial audit of your existing business. All of those things can be done without going for a work permit application. If you're just interested in knowing, maybe mera idea jo hai Canada mein viable hai ki nahi, sure, we can do that for you, right? It's a business consulting service then. It's no longer an immigration service. We can do that, no problem, right?
Myself, Qassim Shamim, and we provide financial services to software based to different countries. We're registered in UK, but my main concern is over here is like, how does ICT differ from startup visa? Number one, in a sense, in the terms of taxes. Like when we registered in Canada, and does Canada provide some relief in tax form by the terms of ICT, or like we have to go with the startup to initiate the low taxes in the initial years? So it's just because of that certainty going into Canada with all these taxes, and like it's way too much, and other countries ask for it.
Yes, so you are. I mean, I am, first of all, I am not a tax code expert, right? But based on what I hear, मैंने सुना हुआ है कि startups, especially the sort of unique innovation type startups, right? The next gen startups, like the startups that might be a unicorn one day. I mean, देखें, अगर मैं कल I mean, anything can be a startup, right? If tomorrow I want to start a watch store or whatever, you can call that a startup too. But by startup, what we mean. Yeah. They do want to incentivize high innovation in Canada, right? So if it's the startup like a Silicon Valley type startup, then yes, I have heard कि उनके लिए tax incentive structures हैं. Sure. The ICT model that we're here to talk about, right? It's traditional business expansion. You see, I don't think कि जो यहाँ पे एक software solution service provider है, I would not call them a startup company. Yes, I would call them a tech company, yes, but it's a service provider, right? Just like a law firm or a tax consultant. These guys are providing a service. It is providing software solutions to businesses who need them. So it's not. I wouldn't call these companies tech. They are tech companies, but they're not necessarily the Silicon Valley startup type. So of course, it's जो भी tax structure लगेगा इस पे is going to be treated as a traditional business.
Okay. And the other thing is, compared to the certainty going over there, like every day we're getting new taxes, and like many businesses are trying to shift from there, like mainly Indians because of the recent experience they had over there. So as per the unicorn, they might have gone to different solutions as well, but currently what we have seen in the recent years, in the recent time, Canada is facing a hard time having more businesses established over here. So this might affect us as well over there in the future. Like,
look, so this is why the model that I presented. And I don't know if you're a startup or if you're a software solution house.
Software solution house.
Software solution house. Again, the business, आपका business इधर है. You know what I mean? आप उधर जाके नया business नहीं चला, right? It's a subsidiary, right? So it's almost like if your business is doing well here, then you shouldn't really be worried about it too much, right? Because you are not out there trying to get, a revenue stream for some new product or some new thing. You see what I mean? Really, what you're doing by opening a subsidiary in Canada and having a front-end office, is that you are essentially engaging in marketing, business development types of activities, right? To find more work for you guys back home. You see? So it's not like, yes, new businesses is difficult to be established, but I wouldn't really consider this sort of a new business, right? It's आप देखें आपने यहाँ पे भी बैठ के आपने नए clients अपने business के लिए ढूंढने हैं. What do you, let me ask you, what do you do to get new clients here?
Well, there is one guy or one company, a lead gen company in UK. He does sources of good clients over there. And another thing is performance marketing, having meetings, Google meeting, what kind of stuff.
Okay.
So this is how we get.
Let me ask you, why haven't you been able to gain more market share for ICT spending, like information communication technology spending? Why haven't you been able to get some of that spending, directed for your company? And I'm talking about US and Canadian spending.
Well, I wasn't aware of this, number one. And it's like we have been stuck, like as being a Pakistani, we all have this issue of payment gateway, number one. Mostly of us face this. If we are registered internationally, then we can have a good source as well. But mostly there is a local representative in any other country and he helps around us.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Some type of physical presence is required in the market. Voila, right? Register a company in Canada. Yes, you will have to spend some money to make it a viable operation. But really, man, all you have to really do is, can you pay the office rent? Can you pay your resource?
Yes.
And can you afford to keep yourself, आपकी तो भी तो cost of living होगी वहाँ पे. And that's it. And so if you can generate business from the UK, then I believe you should have the confidence to say I can generate business from Canada as well.
Well, that's just the my main point was if there's any subsidy for us in tax relief as well.
It's a conversation that happens at along the process. I do have strategic partners that can offer you tax advice. I myself am not a tax expert. When it comes to subsidies, I don't know, but I do know that business tax rates tend to be better than tax rates for individuals, right? They are. I mean, it's a capitalist society, so they do need to promote some type of I mean, they don't want to bog down a business from taxes. This is just sort of basic tax structure knowledge. Yes, businesses have better tax rate, but I cannot tell you what the tax rate is at this point.
Thank you.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम।
All right.
मेरी कंपनी का नाम है लाइफ केयर हेल्थ सर्विसेज। तो हम यहाँ पर सीनियर सिटीजन के लिए जो भी वर्चुअल मेडिकल केयर है और नर्सिंग सर्विसेज हैं और एम्बुलेंस सर्विसेज ये हम प्रोवाइड करते हैं। तो मेरा फर्स्ट टाइम इस तरह आना हुआ है। तो मैं अगर ये सारे बिजनेस जो यहाँ पर मैं कर रहा हूँ, जो सोशल एंटरप्रेन्योर, ये जो एक सोसाइटी का प्रॉब्लम है हेल्थ का, इसके लिए ओल्ड एज पेशेंट होते हैं, ये डिसेबल्ड पेशेंट है, उनके लिए मैं वहाँ पर कनाडा में अपना ये स्टार्ट करना चाहूँ, तो उसके लिए मुझे गाइड करें।
So आप यहाँ पे थोड़ा मुझे और बताएं, आप इधर आपने फैसिलिटीज खोली हुई हैं
लाइफ केयर हेल्थ सर्विसेज के नाम से,
यानी कि एक ओल्ड एज होम है जहाँ पे
होम हेल्थ केयर सर्विस।
So आपके पास प्रोफेशनल्स हैं, लोगों के घर जाके उनको सर्विस प्रोवाइड।
बिल्कुल, we are a group of healthcare practitioners.
Okay. it's certainly possible. I mean, I will say कि Canada के अंदर ये industry काफी strong है क्योंकि Canada की population, it's an aging population. There's also a huge demand for personal support workers in Canada. This I know. In fact, बहुत से provinces हैं जो personal support workers की education fully funded जो है ना provide करते हैं. और shortage भी है. caregivers की shortage भी है. बहुत से old age homes हैं. ये सब मुझे पता है Canada में है. अब आपका business, you know, I guess आप चाहते होंगे कि जो model आपने यहाँ पे किया है वो आप उधर चलाएं. If it's certainly possible. You know, it would depend on your ability to finance the expansion, but certainly it's possible. Yes, why not?
अस्सलाम वालेकुम. I'm late comer. I don't know कि आपने अपने स्टार्ट में कोई ऐसी प्रेजेंटेशन, आपके पास कोई ऐसा बिजनेस मॉडल है या हम कोई और प्रोफेशन है और वो वहाँ पे स्टार्टअप बिजनेस आइडिया कोई जो है वो स्टार्ट करना चाहिए, आपके पास कोई ऐसा आइडिया या आपके पास कोई ऑलरेडी ऐसा कोई बिजनेस जिसमें एज ए इन्वेस्टर हम पाकिस्तानी आपके साथ इन्वेस्ट कर सकें और उससे फिर हमें कोई फायदा हो, या कि एज सच देयर इज नो एनी पॉलिसी कैनेडियन गवर्नमेंट के कोई इस तरह का हो कि आपने कोई पहले से बिजनेस किया और हम उसके साथ इन्वेस्टर आ सकें बीइंग अ पाकिस्तानी.
So इसमें दो चीजें होंगी. या तो आप कैनेडियन businesses में इन्वेस्ट करना चाह रहे हैं to get a return, right? Is that with immigration in mind, or is it just you want to deploy capital and get a return on it, right?
अल्टीमेटली हमारा गोल तो इमिग्रेशन ही है.
अच्छा.
मेरा ख्याल है
क्योंकि अगर आपको सिर्फ कैपिटल डिप्लॉय करना है, उस पर रिटर्न लेना है, तो आप तो कैनेडियन स्टॉक्स में इन्वेस्ट कर सकते हैं, राइट? लाइक वो तो उसमें you don't really need to, you know, or you can you can also become a venture angel investor yourself. बहुत से मुख्तलिफ किस्म के कनाडा के अंदर incubators हैं और funds हैं जिनमें आप अपना पैसा पार्क करके कह सकते हो कि भाई कोई नया idea आया तो let me know, I'm gonna kind of do my valuation, whatever. But that is not necessarily anything to do with immigration, right? Specific types of investments are tied to immigration. One is what we're talking about. If you have a business, you register a branch, the branch can sponsor you for a work permit, immigration. The other is if you have a unique, innovative idea, and that idea is validated by Canadian incubator, which is a designated incubator selected by the government. If they put their stamp of approval on your business idea, give you a letter of support, that allows you to submit an application for work permits and for permanent residency. The other way to do it is you just go and buy an existing Canadian business. It can be a franchise. It can be your own, you know, like any kind of restaurant or gas station or whatever. You know, just go and outright buy it. उसमें due diligence होती है, आप उनके cash flow history निकाल के number crunching करके business consultants के साथ you can make a decision of whether this is worth my investment or not. And that type of investment can lead to immigration to Canada. What else? You can also, you know, even if you don't have an existing business, you can register a company and have your own business idea. And as long as you have the seed money to fund it, you know, so for example, like if you, अगर आप कहते हो अच्छा मैंने I don't know, anything, right? करना है और ये मेरा business plan है, ये मेरी finances हैं. It's called an owner-entrepreneur visa, but the end goal needs to be clear, right? Like, not all of these programs lead to permanent residency. Some of them just give you the opportunity to come manage it for a bit and go back home. But most of these programs are designed to create jobs for Canadians or to contribute to the Canadian economy. Canada isn't really interested in making you rich, right? They want you to help them get rich, you see? So these immigration programs are designed with how can we attract capital? How can we attract talent that will make us better? All right? They don't really care about, what they have to contribute to you until you become a permanent resident or a citizen. Now they're more concerned about how can we improve your life as a citizen or a permanent resident. But for immigration, हर चीज में ये चीज आप ज़हन पर रख लें, वो उन लोगों को प्रेफर करते हैं जो उनकी इकोनॉमी में, उनके कल्चर में, उनकी लाइवलीहुड में कंट्रीब्यूट करे. They want to take, right? No longer, खत्म कर दिया. आप प्रॉपर्टी खरीद सकते हैं, no problem, but उससे आपको कोई इमिग्रेशन बेनिफिट नहीं है.
If you're buying property, then you want to go there and live. No, for investment.
ऐसे तो कोई भी घर खरीद के permanent resident बनता है. There is no immigration benefit to buying a property in Canada, other than maybe आपको visit visa मिल जाए. No, real estate. अभी बहुत से investment visas हैं जिसमें उन्होंने clearly कहा हुआ है कि real estate investments do not qualify for this visa. They want actual economic activity. They want business activity. They want to see sale of goods and services, right? Passive investments, even brokerage firms नहीं qualify करती, real estate investments नहीं qualify करती. Any kind of passive income type setup does not qualify. They want to see, because honestly, revenue तो generate करती है, मगर वो economic activity, economic GDP growth में उनका इतना effect नहीं होता, right?
So they do not want their people to be working on the things.
So the parent company is this, like you definitely need to hire Canadians for that company. It's a requirement for the program. अगर आप अपना business expand कर रहे हो पाकिस्तानी Canada के अंदर, आप अपने business plan में उनको promise, you're making a promise. You're saying I will hire Canadians. This business will generate jobs for Canadians. Again, my investment in Canada is going to be good for Canada. That is the standard.
They want us to grow business, a parent company, and when they will be the one.
No. They want the financial power of the parent company to contribute to the Canadian economy and job market, right? अब अगर वो self sustain हो गया है, आपकी Canadian company जो है ना Canadian market के अंदर बैठ के dollars generate कर रही है, well, that still benefit to Canada because that income is going to be taxed, and they will be able to make money that way. Anything passive where आप जो है काम किए बगैर पैसे बनाने वाली चीजें जो होती हैं, passive income, it does not qualify for investment related immigration.
We have a
Abdullah, थोड़ा mic आगे कर.
We have a company called OneGram, which was first ever Sharia compliant in Dubai.
Okay.
So, like, if we want to open a branch of that, in the fintech one, or we can say like we are going to blockchain developments or like exchanges of crypto.
Yeah, or we would have to see what is the revenue generating model. We would have to discuss that. It requires. This is not the venue for me to.
No, but this visa which you're talking about, does it mention the list of businesses?
Yes, मगर कुछ businesses ऐसे होते हैं जो उस list पे नहीं हैं, but they may still be considered as not meeting the requirement, right? So again, I would have to look at your revenue generating scheme. ये business पैसे कैसे बना रहा है, right? And then we would make a determination based on that.
Right, we will share with you what businesses we are doing, and then you can select out of that which one you think is the best.
100%, sure. ये आराम से बैठ के करके
I'm the managing partner of Allure Digital. It's basically an IT company based in the US. And जो आपने मॉडल बताया है, सारे का सारा मॉडल वैसे ही बस इंस्टेड ऑफ कनाडा जो पेरेंट कंपनी है वो यूएस के अंदर है। तो मैं ये पूछना चाहता कि आप सिर्फ कनाडा को ही टारगेट कर रहे हैं या in what capacity would you be able to help securing an immigration visa the US?
No capacity.
No capacity.
No.
Okay, so you're only specializing in Canada.
Yes, we're licensed to practice immigration law in Canada only.
Okay.
So if you are interested in U.S. immigration, then you would need to hire somebody who is authorized to practice immigration law for the U.S. jurisdiction.
Okay. Another question. Like let's say the idea that you floated कि आप अपनी business growth के लिए front end office Canada में खोलें.
Yes.
So उसका एक initially let's say if we hire 1 or 2 people for
Yes.
business development.
Yes.
एक recurring monthly expense मतलब उनकी salary में एक minimum average तो होगी.
Yeah, minimum wage laws. Yes. Yes.
तो वो एक amount कितनी एक roughly एक amount होगी जो कि
It depends on the occupation, and it also depends on where you end up getting, where you end up setting up your office, right? So actually Canada की एक website है जहाँ पे आप occupation डालते हैं और वो जो है ना वो जो हमारा Department of Labor तरह का आप समझ। So Canada is a very interesting system. It's called the National Occupation Classification System. Any occupation you can think of under the sun has a NOC code, knock code. शायद आपने सुना होगा, आप में से किसी ने NOC code सुना। So अगर आपने जो आप suppose करते हैं अच्छा मुझे जो है ना office manager hire करना है, जो basically मेरी cause है, आप office manager का knock code निकालेंगे, knock code जो है ना उसमें like basically you're gonna say wage level for knock code so and so. Okay, the Department of Labor issues every year. They do a survey and they give you data on what the wage level for that knock code in every region in Canada is. तो वो आपको suppose करें Ontario है, Ontario के अंदर Toronto है, वो office administrator की low wage, median wage और high wage की amount उधर लिखी होगी. Okay, then what you can pay. So what they require is the program requires is again legally speaking आप office administrator को minimum wage तक pay कर सकते हैं, right? But that would be exploitative, right? Because when you give a job offer to your resource, the job offer will specify, I am hiring you for this position. This is the knock code. And then you will refer to the wage chart for that knock code, and you can choose to pay them. You don't have to pay them the high level or the medium level. You can choose to pay them the low level. But it could be the case कि भाई suppose करें एक business development manager जो है उसकी अगर टोरंटो के अंदर wage जो है it's sort of $60,000 per year, let's say, then that's what you pay them, right? But you can get your work permit by hiring one resource in Canada, right? At least आपको एक बंदा hire करना। उसके बाद आप अपने business projections में बता सकते हैं कि मेरे अगले 3 से 5 साल में मैं क्या project करता हूँ, मैं कितने Canadians को hire करता हूँ।
Let's say मेरा ये point था कि अगर हम एक average salary लें और monthly का मतलब monthly उसका budget करें और एक साल की उसकी हम total cost निकालेंगे, approximately क्या पड़ेगी, so that we can know कि ये हमारे लिए financially.
Okay, so आपको I think on average जो है ना, आप कम से कम आपके पास $100,000 Canadian का budget होना चाहिए to sustain business operations for the first year.
And also for the setup, the initial seed money.
Yeah. So this is the seed money, right? The seed money is the money that is going to be your operating expense money. That's the seed money. क्योंकि देखें इस पूरे आइडिया का क्या है, आप किसी आईपी पे नहीं इन्वेस्ट कर रहे, आप कोई प्रोडक्ट नहीं डेवलप कर रहे, यू सी व्हाट आई मीन। ये कोई कोई इंजीनियरिंग R&D टाइप का बिजनेस नहीं है जिसमें आपकी सीड मनी is going to be exponentially high, like $1 million per year kind of budget. You see what I mean? You are basically setting up a front office, right? And it's engaging in promoting IT services, which is the same industry as your parent company is engaged in, right? So, in other words, you can keep your operating expenses as low as possible.
But the other concern that comes to mind is कि आपने let's say अगर कनाडा में आपका पर्पस ये था कि आपने बिजनेस ग्रोथ के लिए एक बंदा हायर करना है एंड देन जो भी बिजनेस जनरेट होगा वो बैक एंड से पाकिस्तान से ही होगा, राइट? तो उसमें इमिग्रेशन वाले जो इमिग्रेशन जिस पर्सपेक्टिव से अगर बात करें उनकी हायरिंग तो एक या दो लोगों की ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा जॉब वैकेंसीज बनेंगी, उसकी बेसिस पे आपको वीजा मिलना आसान होगा या नहीं?
कुछ दोबारा प्लीज करेंगे, मेरे समझ में।
मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि आप जिससे पहले भी बात कर रहे थे कि वहाँ पे वो आपको वीजा इसलिए देते हैं ऑब्वियसली क्योंकि उनकी इकोनॉमी बेहतर हो, उनको फायदा हो, उस बंदे को जो भी रिसोर्स है उनको जॉब मिले, सारा कुछ हो। अगर हमारा बिजनेस प्लान ये है कि हमने एक या दो बंदे ही रखे वहाँ पे, ठीक है, मतलब जो बिजनेस प्लान है अगर एक या दो बंदे ही रखने वहाँ पे और बिजनेस वहाँ से ग्रो करके मार्केटिंग करके पाकिस्तानी लेके आना है, तो एक या दो बंदे ही रखने, तो फिर उसकी वायबिलिटी क्या लगती है आपको इमिग्रेशन की साइड? So they wouldn't have
you are creating Canadian jobs, एक हो या दो,
either if it's one or two.
Because those jobs would not exist if you were not there. Okay, you're giving more than you're taking, right? It's a win-win for Canada. और जो भी सपोज करें अगर आपके जितने भी क्लाइंट्स MOUs आप साइन करते हैं वो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स आपको पे होते हैं, you have a Canadian business account. The payment for your invoice is going to go into a Canadian business account, right? And you may pay salaries for your back end from that account, but it's Canadian income, and that Canadian income will be taxed, which is an additional benefit to the Canadian government.
Thank you.
ठीक है, अब unless और कोई क्वेश्चन है, मेरे ख्याल में हम थोड़ा चाय ब्रेक ले लेते हैं और आई थिंक आप लोग भी आपस में गपशप लगाएं. Everybody here is in similar fields, or maybe people can make new friendships and find ways to work together here in Pakistan. So unless there's any additional questions, मेरे ख्याल में conclude करते हैं talk portion.